Unemployment has become one of the biggest challenges facing the country, and we're here today with the chairman of the Youth Enterprise Development Fund. Thank you very much for being with us. We want to discuss unemployment in the country, the facts, the figures, and where we're going and where we've come from. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So maybe we could start with where are we when it comes to unemployment in the country. I had you in talking about 2010 and now. How far are we?
Wow. Of course, the issue of unemployment still remains a problem for the country. And that is why the president in his speech, inauguration speech, emphasized on the need to invest in those four particular areas, which he's calling the big four: manufacturing, healthcare, housing, and agriculture, to spur economic growth that then leads to employment for young people. Youth unemployment today stands at about 17%. We have come down from about 21% in 2010, which was one of the worst years for unemployment, on youth unemployment. Overall unemployment across the country has been now consistently between 35 and 38%. We have previously come from 40%. So I think the bleeding has stopped, which is a good thing. It means we are taking more people into employment today. For us to create more jobs, we absolutely have to invest in the economy, so that the economy grows by double digits, so that we can be able to create those new opportunities. But also there's a need to redefine what work is. So there's self-employment, and we now want to encourage more young people to take up self-employment through setting up businesses, going back to farming, etc. The spirit is there. The spirit of innovation, the spirit of creativity, the spirit of entrepreneurship is alive. We just need to invest more in it.
Talking about investing more in entrepreneurship, your organization's mandate is to help young people come up with businesses. How far have you invested right now in terms of issuance of loans, and how has it benefited the economy so far?
I think we need to appreciate that the role of Youth Enterprise Development Fund is more than just financing. It's about business support. It's about creating commercial infrastructure that is cheap and affordable. It's about creating market linkages for young people, etc. I think we've, over the last 10 years, done, our bit. We could probably have done more. But due to inefficiencies, a poor organizational structure, lack of systems and proper processes, we've not done as much as we possibly could. But in the last 2 years, I think we are beginning to see a change. We have invested significantly in setting up a new technological infrastructure that allows us to automate the processes, so young people can access financing and all the other support services more easily. We have reduced the turnaround time of accessing our facilities from about 3 months to 3 weeks. We have reorganized the organizational structure so that now we have a more efficient system at the devolved level at the county. So, and we are beginning to see the benefits of this. For example, 2 years ago, we were lending 20 million shillings a month. Today, as we talk, we're doing about 120 million a month. That's almost 5-fold increase. The impact of it, and unfortunately we haven't done an impact study, but we have a lot of good stories out there to tell of businesses, of young people who walked into the youth fund, with a business idea or a fledgling business. We invested in them, and today they're flourishing, they're creating jobs. So I think there's an opportunity to improve, and we're doing all we possibly can to make sure that the impact is felt far and wide.
All right. You talked about this collaboration not being just a government initiative, that it should be empowered. Do you feel like the private sector is doing enough in helping and nurturing entrepreneurship in the country?
I think private private sector is doing quite a bit of work in this particular space. You know, if you look at organizations like Safaricom, which has invested in Blaze, KCB, which has invested into Jejiri, at the Taskis Internship program, all these are geared towards investing in young people. KEPSA today has a youth sector focused primarily on seeing how KEPSA helps young people get into either business or create more opportunities for them within the private sector space. You know, recently we've had conversations with Bidco, and they are quite happy to invest in young farmers, particularly in this sunflower space, to supply and give them supply contracts to Bidco. But more can still be done. So I think, yes, private sector is doing its bit, but I think more can still be done.
Right. Let's talk about the partnership today with UVA. What does this mean for you as the organization, and also what should entrepreneurs be waiting and gearing for in this partnership?
I think the UVA partnership is timely. It's a perfect partnership, perfect collaboration. UVA has an African footprint, so it brings an Africa-wide experience to the table. We have a lot to learn from them. Specifically, the 20-year Lumelu Entrepreneurship Program, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for our young people because for them to be able to qualify for this program, for them to be able to benefit out of this program, they're taken through an extremely rigorous process. Beyond the process, they're also given an international and global exposure, and they begin to understand how businesses are conducted elsewhere. So they will also step up the game, you know, and that is good for them. You know, you've had the testimony of one of the participants last year who says because of that exposure, he has completely rejigged his business, and his business today is flourishing. He has, what did he say, 70 sales people?
Yes.
You know, I mean, this is amazing. From a seed capital of 500,000 bob, and today he's talking about 70 jobs that he has created in 1 year. I think it's phenomenal. So for us, it is a natural partnership. We want to leverage on the synergies. We want to ensure that more people are enrolled into the program so that they can benefit. We have a collaboration in sharing syllabuses for entrepreneurs. We are already discussing possible partnership in incubation. So I think for us, you know, we are excited about it, and we're looking forward to, you know, bringing more young people on board.
All right, with all this happening for the entrepreneurship class in the country and all these initiatives, what do you think is the future? Are we expecting to see, now that we've stopped the bleeding, as you said, what are we expecting to see in the future? What's the future for entrepreneurship?
I think the future for entrepreneurship is positive. We need a mind shift for our young people going through the education system, that you're not going to school to get a good job. You're going to school to get an exposure and to learn how to apply your skills. Therefore, in the future, I see more people going into enterprise. In the future, I see more startups, particularly in the tech space. I see innovation and creativity, and these are the things that we absolutely need to support. I see a lot of mentorship programs coming up because, and this is something that we have experienced, a lot of young people don't need financing, because they're saying, you know, I've saved this much, or my father has given me this much, or I have a family property somewhere which I can sell. What they need really is business mentorship. Is how do you establish a business? How do you register the business name? How do you establish your brand? How do you build brand equity? How do you market? How do you sell? How do you keep your books of accounts? This bars about taxation. What is it? How do I go about it? So these are the things that I think we need to invest in more and more, so that we demystify entrepreneurship and make young people understand that it's not rocket science, really. It's about having a great idea and pursuing that idea.
All right. Lastly, is the recent developments about the 5 parastatals that are forming up. How will this change the sector? How will this how will this impact the people that you've been giving loans to? Will this change how you've been doing loans? What's going to happen?
I think we must appreciate that the move to merge the funds emanates from the Presidential Task Force report of 2013 on parastatal reforms. So it's a good move. It's about reforming, it's about bringing efficiencies, it's about eradicating duplication and all the inefficiencies that come about with having multiple funds. So I think it's a good thing, and it's something that we absolutely need to look forward to. I think our Biashara Fund, as it is likely to be called, is going to be bigger and better. What we need to be careful about is that we don't lose that focus on the marginalized groups, if you like. So, the focus on women, the focus on persons living with disabilities, the focus on youth has to absolutely continue. But this then needs to be underlined by the new government priority on the Big Four, on the President's Big Four. So if we have young people as the drivers of the Big Four, I think it's a positive step.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us.
Appreciate it.
All right. That was the chairman of the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, Mr. Ronyo Sumba. And till next time, enjoy.